A very good morning to you. It is 7:01, Monday, June 2nd, 2025. Welcome to ONNJ Mornings. I'm Ken Rosato, taking calls at 888-658-0234, 888-658-0234. Mostly sunny today, highs in the low to mid 70s, and a big warm up as we progress through the week. We head to meteorologist Mike Favetta with a first check of the Garden State forecast. Good morning, Mike.
Good morning to you. Welcome to meteorological summer, Ken. Here we are, the first few days of June. Doesn't feel like it. Feels like just a few degrees above freezing over in Sussex County this morning. 45 degrees. It's a little bit cooler than you'd expect, especially to begin June. 57 over in Newark, 54 in Long Branch. Yeah, it's how you frame it, especially when you see that we're just 13 degrees above that freezing mark there in Sussex. So a little bit of a chilly start, some dew around with the dew points running low, allowing for some of that moisture to stick around. Might see some patchy areas of fog, but otherwise we start off with a cool beginning with warming on the way through the day today. Not a whole lot of wind. We're nice and calm to start off our morning, but clear with the clear sky that came in last night and will stick around through this afternoon. Breezes will be light today. That will allow for a lovely warm up with those winds ultimately shifting out of the southwest over the next few days, promoting the big time warm up throughout the rest of this week, like Ken mentioned. So just how warm will it get? Well, with all this sunshine each and every day and no chance of rain, we see those temperatures soar over the next few days. Today, we climb into the upper 60s and low 70s. It'll feel quite comfortable and pleasant. By the end of the day, probably get up to 74 in Newark, 73 back by Trenton, and maybe the upper 60s down the shore. It's tomorrow morning that begins a little bit milder in the mid 50s, but climbs into the 80s across most of New Jersey. Even the western sections of the state as warm as 77 by Flemington. Now, Wednesday is where the heat really turns on because you notice the humidity return as well. And as temperatures start off in the upper 60s and get all the way into the upper 80s, maybe flirt with 90 in spots, it's going to be warm. Even down the shore there by Tom's River, 83 degrees for you, 82 back over by Medford. And with that warmer weather sticking around throughout Wednesday afternoon, it gets even hotter still for Thursday. I think Thursday's highs will be impressive, starting off with a muggy temperature in the 70s in the morning, going all the way into the 80s by the late morning, and then, the 90s by Thursday afternoon. So we gradually increase the heat each and every day, but keep it dry. You'll just notice the humidity return throughout the course of this week, letting you know that summer is here and sticking around at least for the first part of the week. Next few days, dry, sunny, warming each day, really pretty weather. That'll make it look great, especially by the weekend. Ken, we've got that weekend forecast coming up for you. We'll let you know how warm it stays for Saturday and Sunday. That's coming up.
There is nothing wrong with starting the Friday, Saturday, Sunday forecast on Monday morning. In fact, I
Oh,
think we
absolutely
should
not.
forego the Monday through Thursday and just start with the Friday forecast on Monday. Just my own opinion. See if that
That's a
works.
good
All right,
opinion.
Mike.
I
I
second
like
it.
It's the best. All right, buddy. Thank you very much, Mr. Mike. Appreciate you always. It is now 7:04, and we have a temperature 50 degrees. We have debris on Route 70 eastbound in Southampton Township. One lane is closed, the right lane and right shoulder. We also have an overturned vehicle on 295 southbound, exit 57, Route 130, Bordentown, with the right lane and right shoulder closed, and a vehicle fire on 287 northbound south of exit 26. Mount Airy Road in Bernards Township. One lane is closed. Crash on the Jersey Turnpike inner roadway northbound south of interchange 13, which is the Goethals Bridge in Linden, with a left lane blocked, and a crash on the Turnpike inner roadway northbound south of interchange 7A in Hamilton Township with a left lane closed. Take a look at the 8095 approach to the GWB. It is heavy. That's about a 45-minute in right now. We have 30 at the Lincoln, 25 at the Holland. And while we're on the topic, I should say, of roadways, finally, I-80 has lanes open in both directions through Wharton. Pam, I'll let you hit the cam because I know you love it. Two westbound lanes. Look at that. That's pretty. That's a live picture. Two westbound lanes reopened Friday night. Pam, our director, did not believe it was true. She thought it was fake. No, see, Pam, unless this is AI generated, it is real. Yeah, she says she's still in shock right now. I believe you are, and so are the people who've been stuck going through Route 15 in Wharton for the last 5 months. So two westbound lanes reopened Friday night. The major Morris County highway had to be shut down with a sinkhole opening up back in February. That followed another massive sinkhole in December. Drivers in the Wharton area have grown all too familiar with the daily gridlock after thousands of cars and trucks had to be diverted off the interstate, flooding local roadways. Just days before, there was finally some relief as 2 eastbound lanes reopened, easing traffic along some of the detours. 1 lane is still closed in each direction, but we'll take what we got right now. Crews will continue working around the clock with the hope of having all lanes reopen in both directions in about 3 weeks. But thankfully, we do have lanes open in both directions on I-80. The FBI is investigating a targeted terror attack where several people were set on fire yesterday in Boulder, Colorado. Investigators say a man near the Boulder courthouse had a weapon and was setting people on fire while he was screaming, "Free, free Palestine." It turns out that man you see on your screen right there is 45-year-old Mohammed Sabri Soliman. He's an illegal alien from Egypt who got in during, shocker, the Biden administration back in 2023. That man was arrested at the scene, but not before. Several Jewish Americans were set on fire. The attack took place near an organized event calling for the release of Israeli hostages held by Hamas. Thank you, Democrats, and thank you, Biden administration, for yet another attack on innocent tax-paying American citizens because you refused to do what your constitutional duty was and shut down the border. I say charge him with treason. Just my little old opinion. 7:07, a massive fire at a warehouse in Camden. The blaze, which began about 3 p.m. yesterday in a 1-story garage at 17th and Carmen Streets, quickly spread to a 4-story warehouse. The smoke could be seen all the way into the city of Philadelphia. No injuries are reported, but a number of NJ Transit bus routes had to be detoured. Officials had people avoid the area as they conducted an investigation. President Trump's already endorsed Jack Ciattarelli to become New Jersey's next governor. Now he will hold a telephone rally for his fellow Republican in the closing days of the big primary election. The event tonight, 7 p.m. It'll be open to the public. The virtual appearance comes before early voting begins tomorrow in the primary races for the Republican and Democrat nominations to succeed Phil Murphy. The Democrat governor is term limited. Early voting ends June 8th, and primary election day is next Tuesday, June 10th. 7:08, a violent home invasion shook a South Jersey neighborhood Saturday morning. Franklin Township police say 53-year-old Sean Hunsinger, armed with a metal pipe, forced his way into a home on Little Mill Road, assaulting a man and woman inside. The woman escaped to call for help. After a standoff, SWAT arrested Hunsinger. The male victim had some minor injuries. Hunsinger faces charges including armed burglary and assault. The motive not clear, and the investigation is ongoing. New Jersey lawmakers considering a bill to crack down on unlicensed cannabis sales, sparking debate. Get that, sparking debate. Senate President Nick Scutari's proposal would make operating an unlicensed marijuana business, and they're all over the place in the bigger cities in New Jersey. He wants to make it a third-degree crime and buying from one a disorderly persons offense. Hey, Nick, why just a disorderly persons offense? How about illegal drug sales if you buy marijuana from an unlicensed dealer? Because that's what it is. Scutari says it targets illegal stores, undermining the legal market, but cannabis advocates call it a step toward recriminalization. Yeah, because guess what? Hey, all the potheads out there, guess what? Marijuana is still federally illegal, which means technically it's illegal in New Jersey. Just because New Jersey chooses not to prosecute, it's not technically legal. It may be legal in the eyes of the state, but it is still a federal crime. And if federal agents decided to, they could walk up to somebody smoking pot on the streets of Newark and arrest them. Call it recriminalization. Well, guess what? It's not recriminalization if it's still technically a crime. It is criminalization, and that's what it technically still is. 7:09, the New Jersey Turnpike Authority has decided not to renew its contract with Tesla, leading to the removal of 64 supercharger stalls along the busy roadway. The authority opted for a single third-party EV charging provider, forcing Tesla to decommission the chargers that exist right now. And by the way, those chargers have adapters that could be used for any charging. They just don't like Tesla. See, they hate Elon Musk. Tesla offered to upgrade all that equipment and co-locate, meaning that right next to their equipment that would have adapters, they would allow or help build the generic chargers. But nope. New Jersey liberals hate Elon Musk so much that they would rather have people who own Teslas in New Jersey get screwed, and people who have EVs who could use the high-speed Tesla chargers with an adapter get screwed, just to have Elon spend the money and take the time to pull all of these multi-million-dollar chargers off the roadway. So much for the environmentalists who are all for having New Jersey's goal of 100% zero-emission car sales by 2035. The company has built 116 nearby superchargers off the roadway. This is Tesla now, to maintain reliable charging access. But now, if you're driving a Tesla on the turnpike, you have to get off the turnpike, risk getting into an accident on a local road coming from a highway to a local road, have traffic, get to the local charging station, charge up there, then get back onto the highway. So much for, saving fuel. We will have more on this with brand and digital strategist Fisher in the next hour. He will explain all the details. The plan was to have the third party come in 2 years ago. That was always the plan. But to have Tesla remove the existing chargers, that was not the plan. That's new from the leftists in Trenton. Remember that when you go to vote next time. Do not vote D. Do not vote D. 7-Eleven's our time. Ukrainian forces destroyed dozens of Russian airplanes with a drone attack on air bases deep within Russian territory yesterday. Ukrainian forces destroyed 40 aircraft in the attack, which an official says took more than a year to orchestrate. Russia's defense ministry confirmed the attack, saying it struck 5 airfields. Pam, I don't know if we have this video. It's really good if we do have it. This is the Russian attack. We don't. Okay. The operation saw drones transported in containers carried by trucks deep into Russian territory. And there, the drones took off and hit 41 planes stationed at several airfields. That's the one, yes. President Trump recently expressed what some have called anger that Russian President Vladimir Putin was attacking Ukraine several weeks ago while the two leaders were in the process of discussing an end to the war. No official word on whether Trump knew of that attack you're seeing on your screen right there in advance, but something tells me Mr. Trump got a little pissed off at Vlad for doing the attacks while he was pretending to talk peace. And this might be a little message to Vladimir Putin that you want to screw around with me, pal? We're going to blow up your bombers right in your territory. So maybe Mr. Putin will wake up and come to the table now and have a little chit chat with the president. 7:12, a toddler is lucky to be alive after an incident at Newark Airport last week. Officials say the 2-year-old was inside the airport's Terminal A last Wednesday when the child slipped behind the JetBlue ticketing counter and hopped onto the conveyor belt luggage system. See, the mom was just talking to the agent. Look, don't blame mom. You're trying to get on, you get your ticket, you got your child, you got your luggage. Mom was checking in the baggage. Right there, there's an opening right next to the ticket agent. You put your luggage here to get weighed. Apparently, the child slipped in 2 seconds. It could happen. Slipped through that little opening and went right on the conveyor belt. By the way, this has happened a number of times at a number of airports. This is not uncommon. Well, that is exactly when the child decided to slip away. Apparently, the toddler got down to the checked baggage room down on the lower level. Fortunately, we think the child never got through the x-ray machine. That's the most important thing, and did not get hurt on the conveyor belt. Port Authority officers did respond quickly. They located the baby. Paramedics checked the baby out. Mom and baby all doing fine, thankfully. Just when you're at that counter, be very careful, but it could happen in a second. Police in New Jersey warning residents of a fake text message campaign using the old name New Jersey Department of Motor Vehicles. It warns recipients about unpaid tickets. It goes on to threaten to suspend their license if they fail to pay immediately. Again, the messages are fake. Officials remind everybody the Garden State's DMV is not called the DMV anymore. For years, it's been called the MVC, Motor Vehicle Commission. It only uses text messages to remind customers about appointments, not if you owe money on tickets. If you have any doubts about a text like that, don't click on anything. What you should do is dial up the agency. Call the MVC directly and ask if this is real. Clearly, that is fake, what you see on your screen, and it's going on right now. 7:14, New Jersey's disgraced former Democratic Senator Bob Menendez was convicted of accepting almost $1 million in bribes in exchange for favors benefiting foreign governments. Now it seems that Menendez is telegraphing messages to the Trump administration, possibly seeking a federal pardon. Menendez posted on X, quote, "People talk about the Trump Department of Justice, but it was the Democrats who started weaponizing the Justice Department." Think about it. The Democrats are the ones who charged him. So he's begging the Republicans, President Trump, to let him out. The timing of the message was interesting because Menendez is scheduled to report to federal prison in a couple of weeks, June 17th. The former senator was convicted last year on 16 counts, including bribery, wire fraud, obstruction of justice, and acting as a foreign agent. A judge sentenced him to 11 years in prison. Whether the president will be moved to pardon him remains unclear, but it is unlikely. And the Democrat councilman who allegedly helped to orchestrate an underground gambling ring has been released from jail after a judge reconsidered a decision that kept him there for a month and a half. You see him on your screen. Prospect Park Borough Council President Anand Shah was allowed to walk out of Morris County Correctional Facility in Morristown May 30th. Officials say he's charged with 11 counts of illegal gambling, money laundering, and racketeering for his alleged link to the complex scheme. Shah's attorney said his client will remain on home confinement. But imagine the chutzpah. You are charged with all of that. And at this point, he says he may still attend council meetings if he can, either virtually because he's on house arrest. And they say that, he doesn't want to step down. Why should he step down? He was alleged to have hosted unlicensed poker games and used a Costa Rica-based sportsbook with 38 co-conspirators, including members of the Lucchese crime family. But again, stay elected. Why not? Because if it happened to you or me, we'd be behind bars. It is 7:16. A 28-year-old man facing charges after a road rage incident in Glen Rock last Wednesday. During that incident, he allegedly threatened another driver with what turned out to be a fake handgun. A 59-year-old man told police that another car tailgated him as he traveled from Fairlawn to Glen Rock. The two cars eventually stopped, and two men got out of one car and approached the other. One of the men allegedly grabbed a fanny pack and said that he had a gun in it while pointing the fanny pack at the driver of the first car. Police say a nearby resident had video of the entire incident. The man who allegedly declared he had a gun was identified as Gregory Delgado of Emerson, and police say that he's charged with terroristic threats, criminal mischief, aggravated assault, and possession of an imitation handgun. Yes, that's a crime. He's being held at Bergen County Jail pending a court appearance. And the Hudson County Prosecutor's Office is looking into the death of a sheriff's officer who fell from the 9th floor window of the Hudson County Administration Building in Jersey City. Officials say the officer was identified as 29-year-old Justin Rivera, who worked for the Hudson County Sheriff's Office. The prosecutor's office says they were notified Friday morning that somebody had fallen from the top floor window of the courthouse. Rivera was on duty at the time and was taken to Jersey City Medical Center, and that's where he was pronounced dead. Officials say the cause of death was accidental. The details, though, how this happened, still being investigated. It is 7:17, 50 degrees, and when we come back, New Jersey Globe editor David Wildstein will have the latest on New Jersey's political scene with the Inside Edge. Mostly sunny, highs low to mid-70s. Very hot by the end of the week. Meteorologist Mike Favetta returns with your full Garden State forecast, and we will take your calls. 888-658-0234. You're watching on New Jersey Mornings. Don't go away. Seven 18, welcome back to On New Jersey Mornings for your Monday. I'm Ken Rosato, taking calls at 888-658-0234. Mostly sunny today, highs in the low to mid-70s, and a big warm-up as we progress through the week. Straight to meteorologist Mike Favetta with the full Garden State forecast. Good morning, Mike. I got my sunscreen out.
Oh, it's very important. All smiles over here, Ken. We've got some amazing weather. Finally, some weather you can enjoy without the heat and humidity yet. We start off gradually, right? Mother Nature eases us into summer with the temperatures in the 70s today, loads of sun, low humidity for this afternoon, and a 73-degree high in Clinton, 70 in Long Branch, 71 in Point Pleasant, and even back in Freehold, 73. It'll look fantastic. The allergy medication may be not even necessary if you suffer from trees, but weeds and grasses, you might have the itchy eyes, the scratchy throat, especially as after all of the rain last week, those grasses are very green and growing very quickly, so the landscaping crews will be out throwing around some pollen. Also, the mold's a little bit higher after all of that wet weather from last week. Speaking of rain, nothing going forward. We are dry on the map right throughout this, but for some reason there tends to be like a little dark cloud there over in northern New Jersey where Ken is. So I don't know, maybe we'll have to see if that actually pans out, but I think ultimately it's a joke. We'll stay dry today going in through the next few days as look at all this clear sky back off to our west. That high pressure, very much in control, keeping our weather clear. Any of the showers forecast for later on this week are still well off to our west. As far as the sunscreen is concerned, it's a good idea to have that around today because with a 7 on the UV, that is high. It might even be up at very high tomorrow and for the rest of the week, given how clear the skies will be. We stay nice and dry going forward. So even a look closer to home shows any of the clouds from yesterday well off to our east, and the weather stays clear through this afternoon into tomorrow. That'll lead to another dry and cool start for tomorrow morning. I think it's our last night, however, we're sleeping with the windows open because the humidity rolls in with temperatures in the 80s tomorrow afternoon, up around 90 by Wednesday, and even warmer still. And the dew point, or the temperature where the air is saturated, sees the humidity rise as well, especially as we get into Wednesday, Thursday timeframe. You see that shade of green? We started off yellow, which is dry here on the scale, and then we go to green, which is quite humid. Yeah, it'll get pretty humid, a little soggy, I think, once Wednesday night into Thursday rolls around, with those higher dew points reaching almost tropical levels by the end of this week. For the rest of the time being, especially into Thursday, Friday, you see the temperatures rise, going into the 90s by Thursday afternoon, starting off in the 70s in the morning. So it stays pretty warm. 94 in Newark by Thursday afternoon, 94 up in Hackensack, 93 in Trenton, even down the shore, 80 in Toms River. You'll get some relief along the immediate shoreline at the beaches, but it's a warm finish to the week. And then for Friday, I think that's our last day of seeing completely dry weather. Might have some showers return at some point Saturday with the passing front that I think the computer models have a hard time understanding exactly how fast that front moves in. Right now, it's stalling the front out over New Jersey for most of the day on Saturday, which would give us clouds and unsettled weather. But if it passes through a little bit faster, we might salvage most of our Sunday. I think Monday and Tuesday could bring back some rain, but Wednesday by next week clears us out and also dries us out as well with some lower humidity. So for the remainder of this weekend, we've got some gorgeous weather ahead, hot and humid going into Saturday, but I think sunshine returns by Sunday after some clouds arrive this upcoming weekend. A whole lot warmer, Ken, than last weekend. Regardless of the moisture situation, whether there's more clouds or more rain, it's going to be at least 10 to 12 degrees warmer than this past weekend.
There you go. By the way, Mike, today is National Leave the Office Early Day. I don't know if you knew that.
Oh, wow.
So
That's a great,
as a result,
awesome weather to do
I'll
it.
I'll see you. Uh-oh, I just knocked off
Depends
my
what
mic cable.
time zone
Hang
you're
on.
on.
Now I've done it. Look what I've done. All right, let's fix it. I know Pam, our director, is going to scream. Talk to me, Mike. I think I got you. Talk to me.
I
Can you
think
hear me?
I think you're
Okay.
good. We got him. Okay. Got to go
I'm
wireless,
sorry,
Ken.
everybody. Yes. Yeah, why do wireless when you could have the luxury of hard wire? Why do wireless? I'm telling you. All right, Mike. Thank you very much. I'm seeing I can dip my finger in water and electrocute myself. So that's all part of it. All right, buddy. We'll check back with you. It is 50 degrees now. I'll go take my meds, I promise. 723. We do have a good traffic cam to show you here. This is Garden State Parkway, mile marker 149.2 southbound, north of exit 148 in Bloomfield. A minute ago, that was actually slower than it is now, but you can see it's still pretty heavy, and that is all due to volume and people's faces getting hit with sunshine right now as they drive to work, especially the northbound getting it from northbound is on the right, by the way, and they're getting that sun glare from the right side of your screen. That's why you could see them really slower on the extreme right lane. We also have an overturned vehicle, 295 southbound exit 57, Route 130 in Bordentown. There's a ramp lane closed and the right shoulder as well. We have a vehicle fire, 287 northbound south of exit 26, which is Mount Airy Road, Bernards Township, I should say. Right lane of the 3 lanes closed, and a crash investigation, Route 30 westbound west of the GSP in Galloway with all lanes closed. Crash on the Turnpike Outer Roadway southbound interchange 6, the Pennsylvania Turnpike in Mansfield Township with the left lane blocked. The inbound GWB upper and lower levels both very heavy on the 8095 approach. You can see the lower level on your left is even heavier than the upper level on your right. It's about a 45-minute delay getting in. It's about 35 at the Lincoln, 30 at the Holland right now. And we have I-80 east and west at exit 34, Route 15 in Morton now. 2 lanes open in each direction to traffic. Hopefully the entire roadway will be reopened, as you can see right there, in about 2 weeks. 725, it is now time for Politics from Trenton, explained like nobody else can do it. Here's New Jersey Globe editor David Wildstein with the Inside Edge.
Good morning, everybody. It's Monday, June 2nd, and today's Inside Edge is dedicated to everyone out there who's heading into early voting and election day, and they already can't stand their running mate. Now, this is a fairly common occurrence in Jersey. Anyone who's run for office will tell you that. Putting a bunch of people on a ticket together was, in a way, a fairly cruel and sadistic trick orchestrated by New Jersey's founding fathers. I'll tell you my own story. Back in the late winter of 1984, I was 22 years old, and I wanted to run for a seat on the Livingston Township Council. I went to my party's screening committee. I won what used to be known as the line by an incredibly narrow 2-vote margin. And I was introduced to my running mate for the first time. I'd never met him before. I had no idea who he was. I knew nothing about him. I had worked on campaigns at that point for 10 years. I'd never seen him before, but here we were, two people now joined at the hip in search of a goal that both of us wanted. It was like an arranged marriage, only the municipal chairman was Yenta the matchmaker. And I'm the first to admit I'm not the easiest person to get along with, but this running mate thing was difficult from the start. Now, I'll state the obvious. The worst nightmare for any two-candidate team is the very real possibility that one of you might win and the other might lose. And that means your running mate is, in actuality, potentially your opponent. We got along most of the time, but we started off. It was rocky when we had to decide whose name went first and whose went second. He said he should go first because he was older, and I'm thinking to myself, now there's a brilliant strategist. I'd been running campaigns at that point for a few years, and I wrote every mailer. I wrote every press release, designed every newspaper ad. We spent about $40,000 on that campaign 41 years ago, and mostly my father and my grandfather and a little bit of me, but we raised, of the 40,000, 39,500 of it. But my running mate had one definite talent. He could count words. So every Sunday night, when I would submit the press release for the next week, he would count how many words were in my quote and how many words were in his. And if his quote was short, 1 or 2 words, I wound up having to retype the whole thing. Now, we both won, not by much, and the Star Ledger, shockingly got the results of the election wrong the next morning. In the minority, getting along was easier. But 2 years later, when we took control, we both wanted to be mayor. He said it should be him because he got 9 votes more than I did. 9 more votes in a campaign that I ran and basically paid for. And I became the mayor, and we never really got along after that. I've been okay at the forgiveness game over the last few years, but the running mate, haven't spoken to him since we both left office in 1988, and that's just fine. Anyway, that's all I have for today. Thanks for listening, and I'll be back tomorrow.
7:29 in other news, the FBI is investigating a targeted terror attack where several people were set on fire yesterday in Boulder, Colorado. Investigators say a man near the Boulder courthouse had a weapon and was setting people on fire while screaming "Free Palestine." Turns out the man, 45-year-old Mohammed Sabri Soleiman, is an illegal alien from Egypt who got in during the Biden administration 2 years ago. That man was arrested at the scene, but not before several Jewish Americans there were set on fire. The attack took place near an organized event calling for the release of Israeli hostages held by Hamas. 7:29, sad news in Ocean County. A middle school there named after female astronaut Krista McAuliffe is permanently closing in a few weeks. The Krista McAuliffe Middle School in Jackson opened in 1993, 7 years after the New Hampshire teacher who became an astronaut was killed in the Space Shuttle Challenger explosion. Visitors are being offered a final chance to tour the school. The Jackson School Board voted in February to close the school at the conclusion of this academic year for financial reasons. Exercise can reduce the risk of cancer patients dying by a third and to stop tumors coming back. It's even more effective than drugs in doing this. For decades, doctors have recommended adopting a healthy lifestyle to lower the risk of developing cancer, but until now, there's been little evidence of the impact that it could have after diagnosis. Now, a world first trial involving patients from around the world has found that a structured exercise regime after your treatment can dramatically reduce the risk of dying, the disease returning, or a new cancer developing. So if you're treated for cancer, they say that you are in remission, you should start exercising with a trainer right away. It can reduce your chances of getting it again by a third. This is a big study. The results were presented in Chicago at the American Society of Clinical Oncology annual meeting and published in the New England Journal of Medicine. So get out there and exercise, just don't hurt yourself in the process. In the meantime, a new study by LookMeds ranks New Jersey as the 23rd fittest state in the U.S., with New Hampshire, Massachusetts, and Washington taking the top spots. Remember, those other states have more colleges than we do. Think about that. College kids tend to do their workout regimes more. Only 31.3% of New Jersey adults exercise regularly, and just 16.8% of kids are physically active. High blood pressure affects over a third of residents, placing the state mid-pack nationally. With summer here, the study highlights the need for New Jersey residents to prioritize fitness. Come on, go down the shore, jog along the beach. Such a beautiful thing to do. 7:31 right now, 50 degrees. When we come back, an alternative rock band with a local and loyal, I should say, not local, loyal local following and explosive live energy is about to take a huge step onto the national stage. We're going to speak with the co-founder of Slideways. The phone lines are open too. We'll take your calls at 888-658-0234, 888-658-0234. It's going to be mostly sunny today, highs in the low to mid 70s, warmer at the end of the week and more humid too. The full Garden State forecast with meteorologist Mike Favetta in just a moment. You're watching ONNJ Jersey Mornings. We're seen daily on ONNJ.com, Roku, Fire TV, News On, Samsung TV Plus, Apple TV, YouTube, Facebook, and X. Now streamed live on Rumble and Twitch at twitch.tv/ONNJ. We're coming right back. What a better way to come back from break than with the Zen rejoiner, we call it, the Zen rejoiner, especially on this National Leave Work Early Day. Gotta love it. 7:33. If you want to leave work early, just tell your boss, you know what? It's a national holiday. Don't you know? Get with the program. Monday, June 2nd, 2025. I'm Ken Rosato. Welcome back to ONNJ Jersey Mornings. Mostly sunny today. Highs in the low to mid 70s. Big warm up through the week. Meteorologist Mike Favetta has the detailed Garden State forecast. Mike, this means that by Thursday, I could use the word schwitz.
What? Thursday?
Oh, you mean even like tomorrow?
Okay. Maybe. I think maybe by tomorrow. Oh yeah. Oh
okay.
yeah. It's gonna feel warm. It's gonna feel very warm. I think
I'm
that
so
there's
schwitzy.
There's going to be some pretty warm weather on the way. See, remember we talked about wireless? When you have a wireless earpiece, the audio is not always so clear. So I really had to take a second to think, where is Ken going with this?
I don't even want to know what you think you heard me say.
You probably saw my expression. Oh boy. I know we're streaming, but still. Ken needs a moment.
I leave
there.
it to you.
Ken needs a moment. They needs a moment in the gabinetto. You can look that one up in Google Translate. Hey, our forecast looks a little drier this morning and then gradually turns humid through the next few days, especially as we get into the end of the week. So yeah, you'll be schwitzing once we get to Thursday, Friday time frame with hot weather on the way. Temperatures well into the upper 80s, low 90s, and higher humidity. Now, for the rest of this week, however, we're rain-free, so we're dry otherwise, but the humidity really starts to build in by the end of that time frame. Radar right now is very quiet. Not going to see much on this map. Not today, not tomorrow. It stays nice and clear, and it'll be that way even going into the next few afternoons. With highs today in southern New Jersey, climbing to 74 in Hamilton, 72 in Atlantic City. What a great beach day, even down toward Avalon and Cape May. So yeah, if you want to take advantage and leave work early, plenty of clear sky to do that, and warm weather as well. If you notice, it's getting bright really early, so we're approaching our summer solstice, arriving in just 3 weeks, which is why the sun is rising at 5:27 in the morning, sun setting closer to 8:30, and with our highs that are starting to warm as well, we'll start to get back to that average warmth for June later on this afternoon and even for the next few days. Rain chances nil going into today, tomorrow, and Wednesday. Now, by Thursday, could see a slightly higher chance, specifically in northern New Jersey, in the northwestern corner. Friday and Saturday also sees a little bit of an uptick, again, as that front approaches from the west and kind of stalls out by the time Friday and Saturday approach. So with clear sky today, lovely high pressure drawing in all of that lovely dry air, we'll actually see a little bit more of a southwesterly wind by Tuesday afternoon, and that's where the temperatures begin to climb. But at least we stay clear going into Wednesday. Beautiful day to enjoy with much warmer weather. Here's the front for the weekend that approaches from the west, starts to slow down by the time Thursday arrives, and then sits over New Jersey going into Friday and Saturday. That's what brings us our unsettled forecast as of now for the start of the weekend. It could slow down, it could speed up. Only time will tell. But for now, we're keeping some showers in the forecast for Friday as well as Saturday with extra cloud cover. That also brings down the temperature a little bit for the end of the weekend, climbing into the low 80s and upper 70s only. But still, check out the overnight temperature. This is starting off at 70 degrees on Friday. It's really going to feel like summer then, especially with all of that warm weather. Gorgeous down the shore, highs in the low 70s each and every day, temperature starting off in the mid 60s. And I think Friday starts off drier because, again, with that front coming in from the north and west, it takes a while to push down toward the coast. So places south of Atlantic City may not even see any clouds on Friday and limited chances of rain by Saturday. I think Sunday also looks pretty decent. So for once, we finally have a better forecast at the shore just in time for the beach season to begin, Ken, here in New Jersey.
By the way, just here's something else that'll make you get a little nervous, Mike. You know what you call a child of a beach?
No.
Son of a beach.
Son of a beach. Samana Beach. That's it.
This is why, sir, they fired me from mainstream television. Just so you know. Just so you know. It's all right. We'll take back. I
But we're
promise
happy to
I'll leave
have
the
you,
dad
Ken.
jokes aside.
We're,
And
we're,
it's good to be here.
we are blessed, and we are very, very happy.
When they fire me from here, I'm going to go to the corner and use 2 tin cans and a string. But somebody will be on the other end, I hope. If I have to pay them, they will. All right, Mike. Thank you very much, buddy. We'll check back with you. 7:38. Happy Monday. It is 7:38 right now. The good news is traffic isn't horrible everywhere. We have an overturned vehicle, sadly, right now on 295 southbound at exit 57 in Bordentown. The right lane and the ramp lane are closed, but traffic is making its way through. Take a look at the I-80-95 approach to the GWB. It's very heavy right now. That's about a 50 to 55-minute cross time into Manhattan from New Jersey. On the left side, you have the lower level. That's moving a little more slowly than the right side upper level. That's about, as I said, 50 to 55 minutes, and we got 35 at the Lincoln and 30 at the Holland. Our time is 7:38. If you have ever chased a dream with everything that you've got, this next story is going to hit home for you. New Jersey's own Slideways, an alternative rock band with a loyal local following and an explosive live energy, is about to take a huge step onto the national stage. They've just been selected to perform on the main stage of Warped Tour 2025 in Washington, D.C. after winning the Ernie Ball Battle of the Bands competition. That is a big deal. And joining us now is Dominic Asola, one of the founding members of Slideways, to talk about this exciting milestone, the band's journey, and what fans can expect this summer. Dominic, welcome to ONNJ Mornings. Good to have you on.
Thank you. How are you, Ken?
I'm doing great. You could see we're a little wacky this morning. I'm sorry about that. This is what happens when you get old and you're curmudgeon-y like me. It is just an exciting thing. My husband used to be a music teacher, and he's into alternative way more because he's a little younger than me. When I told him what we had you on, he followed all of this and he knows all about Warp Tour, the main stage Warp Tour, and everything else. And he said, "This is a huge deal, Ken. Be very excited for this, man." And so we are. This is a big, big deal. Tell us the journey to get to the performance and to have won this. This is a big, big, big thing to do.
Yeah, first of all, thank you. It's a huge step for us and we're very excited. So, thank you for acknowledging that. Um, yeah, it's been a long time coming. Me and these guys have been making music together. Some of us for over 10 years together, some of us a little less. So, this has always been a dream of ours. Not an expectation, but something we'd hope for, and um, you know, it just our time has come to take
Yeah.
the next step, and we're very excited.
And Warp Tour, I mean, this is legendary, especially for alternative and people into punk rock. So, what does it mean to you and your band to be part of that legacy? I mean, this you got a lot of people online on YouTube who are alternative and they do their performances, and sometimes they get 5 people who look, sometimes they got 100,000. It's just like luck of the draw sometimes, depending on the algorithm with YouTube. But for you, whether you got that or not, you're part of what is a legend now. This is a huge deal. So, what does that mean for you guys?
Well, we've been going to Warp Tour since we were in high school, and watching all of our favorite bands, play these stages. Um, a couple years ago, they ended Warp Tour, so it was always like a dream that maybe had passed by. But the fact that
Right.
they're bringing back the festival in a smaller capacity, and we get to be a part of that, even though that window of opportunity felt like it closed in the years past. Um, it just feels like this is a second chance for us to, get a chance for us to leave our name, behind in the legacy that's Warped Tour as well. So it's big shoes to step into,
Mhm.
but we've been rehearsing and practicing, and we're going to show up and put on a great show.
I bet you will. And you're known for being having a reputation of having an electric performance, but you're also known for being emotionally resonant with people. Describe for everybody your sound for someone who may be hearing Slideway for the first time.
Um, so we like to, I guess, identify as alternative pop punk, pop rock band. So like you said, a lot of high energy, but the lyrical content of the music does have some more serious undertones. Even though if we like to get a little more intense with the instrumentals, it's a nice juxtaposition between the two extremes almost.
Hmm. Yeah, and you got a new EP coming out of phase. It's dropping this summer, so in the next weeks ahead, give us a little preview of the themes or the sounds we can expect.
So going into record this EP, we had an idea. Lyrically and instrumentally what we wanted to go for. The EP is called Out of Phase, and the lyrical content touches a lot on feeling disconnected from the day-to-day life. Um, Even though you're taking the steps to go through the motions of everyday life, you can still feel that disconnect from maybe where your heart and your passions lie. And piggybacking off of that, trying to emulate that in a instrumental point of view, we
Mhm.
added a lot of modulation and movement to the record to give it a more fuller, hectic sound. Try to describe it that way. We wanted to keep the intensity from those emotions and translate that over to the instrumentals as well to give the overall picture of feeling maybe disconnected and out of phase from life.
And Dominic, New Jersey, and you're from New Jersey, we have such a rich rock history from Springsteen to My Chemical Romance. I mean, we have everything from traditional rock to punk rock to alternative rock. I mean, a lot of artists come from New Jersey for a relatively small state. How has your Garden State upbringing, if you will, shaped your music or your perspective?
Well, I live in Asbury Park, which is a very big music
Right.
community, and having the opportunity to go out any given night of the week and go see live music, um, always keeps me inspired. Whether it's, friends playing a show or a national touring band like Bon Jovi or Springsteen coming through. You can draw inspiration from that, and you know seeing a live show where they played in maybe a small room compared to the Stone Pony, you always pull moments from those and bring them into your live performance, and just keep the energy and the momentum alive for live music. It's a great place to be. There's never a lack of that here.
I would imagine. And we know that performing at Warped Tour had to be a huge, long time dream. But what's next for the band after that? Do you have any upcoming tour dates you want to talk about and some goals that you have in sight? What's the next level for you?
So Warped Tour is in DC on the 14th. We're playing the Saturday date. After that, we're playing another festival in New York called Hype Fest. That's the following week. And all those dates can be found on our website, slidewaysband.com. After that, as far as the rest of summer, we don't have any more shows planned. We are in the process of writing and recording a new album. But like you had said earlier, our EP will be releasing this summer with 6 tracks and hopefully some more bonus tracks for some dedicated fans that keep their ear to the ground. We're going to be releasing some exclusive content.
Well, Dominic Isola, please promise me you'll come back after all of this happens. We want to talk to you again at the end of the summer and just hear your perspective on what it was like to do the performance. And once the new EP is out, we'd love to stay in touch and just kind of follow the career as it blossoms. And we know it's going to do that. So we're excited. I'm excited for you. I just feel it. I've seen people over the years. I was with ABC for 20 years, Dominic, and I've watched people start as little acts. I remember this. There was this woman named Whitney Houston. I don't know if you've ever heard of her. And I remember interviewing her when she was like releasing her first release. And I remember doing an interview with her, and then we know what happened. So I'm excited
Right.
for you. And I kind of sense you have, I don't even think you realize how big a future you have right now. So please stay in touch, Dominic Isola, one of the founding members of
Thank you.
Slideways. Thank you for joining us this morning. Have a great day and good luck with everything this summer.
Thank you as well.
Thank you, sir. It is 7:48, mostly sunny today. Highs in the low to mid 70s. Meteorologist Mike Favetta returns with a full warm up in the Garden State forecast. And our number is 888-658-0234. You're watching on New Jersey Mornings. Don't go away. Welcome back to On New Jersey Mornings. I'm Ken Rosato, 749, and we'll take calls at 888-658-0234. Straight to meteorologist Mike Favetta. Nice day today and a warm up through the week. Good morning, Mike.
A big warm up through the week. I'm taking a gander down the road, like even to next weekend's forecast, and it only gets hotter from this point forward. This is heat that we typically don't experience, Ken, until like July timeframe. So if you're looking to get away or even to the pool or to the beach, yeah, it's going to be warm. It's going to be warm. So schwitzes all around, right?
I'll take schwitzes any day. Schwitzes over snow any day, pal.
Yeah, no, it's true. It's true. It's nice to feel warm. It's like a warm hug from the sun when you step outside. It'll be great. Our forecast looks fantastic today. Temperatures slowly warming into the 70s. And with all the sun that'll be around this afternoon, fantastic. 73 on the green in Morristown, 74 right over by Branch Brook Park in Newark, and 75 on the waterfront in Jersey City. Very pretty, very dry. In terms of our drought, it has ended across New Jersey. We are still drought free, with these areas in southern New Jersey just abnormally dry, and then that little blip of yellow up in Sussex County right there on the Passaic and Morris County border. But beyond that, it's looking really good because we've had so much rainfall in the last month, double the average amount in the areas shaded in blue, and more than 125% of rain there in the areas in green. So plenty of wet weather. We are now at a zero rainfall deficit, which is wonderful news, and we get to enjoy the heat and the green lawns to go along with it, because enough rain certainly has fallen from this point forward. Right through the middle of June, so this is in through next weekend, we'll have temperatures above average for us here in the Northeast, and even down toward places like Florida if you plan to take that early summer getaway. As far as precipitation, rainfall outlook, slightly higher than average in central and southern New Jersey. So you think there might be a little bit more rain than average, but there's still plenty of dry days to enjoy, even going forward through the next 2 weeks. And even for the next 4 days, we stay very clear. Sunny skies today, temperatures in the 70s, 80s tomorrow, up around 90 by Wednesday in spots, and in the 90s for most of the state on Thursday. And that's when the humidity really begins to build. So lovely weather around. Friday, Saturday, and Sunday has chances of rain. They are certainly not washouts each and every day, but there's a chance of rain, especially for the northern sections of the state on Friday late in the afternoon. Saturday has a chance of some showers, as does Sunday morning, before some clearing by the afternoon. It actually looks better down the shore because as this front approaches from the west, it stalls out and slows down. So decent chances of sun throughout all day on Friday, maybe some rain and perhaps some clouds at times on Saturday, but I think we clear out by Sunday with a temperature of 75. Obviously a little bit cooler down the shore, but still to get to the upper 70s, near 80 as we enter our first week of meteorological summer. We'll take it going into this week. We certainly deserve it after so much rain and cloudy and cool weather that we've had the last few days.
You are absolutely right, sir. Boy, did we have Saturday night? Man, what did we have? Like 10 hours of nonstop pouring rain? We had lights flickering here and everything. Unbelievable, but we needed it. Now I don't want to hear that we have a shortage of rain. I don't want to hear
right.
it. That's what I'm going to do if you say that we have a drought. None of that. All right, Mike. Thank you, buddy. We'll check back with you. 7:53 and 50 degrees still. The temperature has remained stable all morning long so far. We have some traffic to talk about on Route 3 westbound east of Route 46 in Clifton. One lane is blocked, the left lane. We have a fire on 287 northbound south of exit 26 in Mernage Township. A right lane of 3 lanes closed. Crash investigation, Route 30 westbound west of the GSP in Galloway. All lanes are closed. And the 8095 approach to the GWB right now, very heavy upper and lower levels, 55-minute cross time. It's really, really heavy. You can see it right there, especially the lower level on the left. We have a 35-minute cross time at the Lincoln and 30-minute at the Holland right now. 7:53, and while we're on the topic of traffic, finally, I-80 has lanes open in both directions through Wharton. 2 westbound lanes reopened Friday night. The major Morris County highway had to be shut down when a sinkhole opened up back in February. That's a live look. Isn't that pretty? This all followed the other massive sinkhole that happened last December. Drivers in the Wharton area have grown so familiar with the daily gridlock after thousands of cars and trucks had to be diverted off the interstate, flooding local roadways. Just before, there was some relief. 2 eastbound lanes, you'll recall, reopened last week. That eased traffic along some of the detours. 1 lane is still closed in both directions, but that'll all change. Fortunately, the crews are working around the clock. They hope to have all lanes reopen. I love it as we get this live on the air as they're moving the camera. Some guy's like, hey, I'm New Jersey's taking a shot. Let's move the camera right now. Yeah. Hey, look at that. Look, I'm moving the camera live on New Jersey. That's cool. That's my impersonation of somebody who probably doesn't talk like that at all, but I enjoy it. So right now, we are hoping that by the 25th of June, all lanes will be open in both directions, but at least we do have some progress there. 7:55, President Trump will host a tele-rally for Republican gubernatorial candidate Jack Ciattarelli tonight, 7 p.m., just hours before early voting begins in New Jersey's primary election. Trump endorsed Ciattarelli May 12th, calling him the best choice to face Democrats and secure a Republican win. The former assemblyman leads rivals Bill Spadea and State Senator John Bramnick in the race to replace Governor Phil Murphy, who is term limited. The primary is June 10th. A tragic loss has struck Bayonne, where Hudson County Sheriff's Officer Justin Rivera, just 29, died Friday after falling 9 stories from a window at the Hudson County Administrative Building in Jersey City. The accidental fall occurred during a power outage while the building was closed. Sheriff Frank Scolari called it one of the darkest days for his office, praising Rivera as an exceptional officer and young man. Rivera, who ran Bayonne boxing with his dad, was a beloved coach and family man. A growing memorial of flowers and candles now adorns the gym's doorstep as the community mourns. That poor young man, 29 years old. 7:56, the FBI investigating a targeted terror attack where several people were set on fire yesterday in Boulder, Colorado. Investigators say a man near the Boulder courthouse had a weapon and was setting people on fire while he was screaming, "Free, free Palestine." Turns out the man, 45-year-old Mohammed Sabri Soleiman, is an illegal alien from Egypt who got in during the Biden administration in 2023. That man was arrested at the scene, not before, setting several Jewish Americans on fire. The attack took place near an organized event calling for the release of Israeli hostages held by Hamas. A massive fire at a warehouse in Camden, New Jersey. The blaze, which began 3 p.m. yesterday in a one-story garage at 17th and Carmen Streets, quickly spread to a 4-story warehouse. The smoke could be seen all the way into Philly. No injuries reported, but a number of NJ Transit bus routes had to be detoured. Officials had people avoid the area as they conducted their investigation. 7:57, a violent home invasion shook a South Jersey neighborhood Saturday morning. Franklin Township police say 53-year-old Sean Hunsinger, armed with a metal pipe, forced his way into a home on Little Mill Road, assaulting a man and woman inside in the process. The woman escaped to call for help, and after a standoff, SWAT arrested Hunsinger. The male victim had some minor injuries. Hunsinger faces charges, including armed burglary and assault. They don't know the motive yet, but they're still continuing their investigation. 7:57, New Jersey lawmakers considering a bill to crack down on unlicensed cannabis sales, sparking debate. Senate President Nick Scutari's proposal would make operating an unlicensed marijuana business a third-degree crime and buying from one a disorderly person's offense. Scutari says it targets illegal stores, undermining the legal market, but cannabis advocates call it a step toward recriminalization. But just remember, it is not legal federally still to sell pot. It is not legal federally. People still keep thinking that, oh, the state legalized it, it's okay. Technically, a federal agent, if you're an FBI agent, you see somebody smoking pot on the street, you could still throw them up against the wall and arrest them. I don't think people realize that. Oh, Ken, it's legal in New Jersey. It is not, because the purview of who regulates drugs is the federal government, not the state. It is entirely the federal government, the FDA. And the federal government still has marijuana listed as illegal. So even though New Jersey says they're not going to enforce the law, the federal government still could. Just remember that when you go to buy some pot at a local dispensary, that you could technically be arrested by feds. Just saying. 7:58, Newark Airport will reopen a closed runway today that has contributed to weeks of delays and chaos. Transportation Secretary Sean Duffy will lead a news conference from the airport this morning to mark the runway's reopening. They did it almost 2 weeks ahead of schedule. Runway 4L22R, which is 11,000 feet long, that's a major one, has been undergoing planned rehabilitation after it showed significant signs of wear. In other words, it had potholes, quite literally. It's now been deemed safe and up to the FAA's standards. The runway's reopening should allow more flights into and out of Newark Liberty each hour, and that'll help reduce flight delays at the hub as a result. Meanwhile, a toddler is lucky to be alive after an incident at Newark Airport last week. Officials say the 2-year-old was inside the Terminal A building last Wednesday when the child slipped behind the JetBlue ticketing counter and hopped onto the conveyor belt luggage system. By the way, this happens a lot at airports all over the country. I didn't realize till I started investigating this. It happens like half a dozen times a year. The mother was talking with a ticket agent at the counter for just a moment You know, you have your luggage, you're putting it on the scale to get weighed, you're talking to the ticketing agent, your little child is that tall, right? Little, and scoots behind. 1 second, you take your eye off, and that's what happens. Kids will be kids. Toddler got down to the checked baggage room, down to the lower level on the conveyor belt. Port Authority police quickly responded, found the baby. Baby was okay. Apparently, the baby did not go through the x-ray machine, thankfully. Paramedics checked out the baby and said, everything's fine. Ukrainian forces destroyed dozens of Russian warplanes with a drone attack on air bases deep within Russian territory yesterday. Those forces destroyed 40 aircraft in the attack, which an official says took more than a year to orchestrate. Russia's defense ministry confirmed the attack, saying it struck 5 airfields. The operation saw drones transported in containers into the Russian territory, and the drones reportedly hit 41 planes stationed at several airfields. President Trump recently expressed what some have called anger that President Putin was attacking Ukraine several weeks ago while Trump and Putin were in the process of discussing an end to the war. No word on whether Trump knew of Ukraine's drone attack in advance. And police in New Jersey are warning residents of a fake they're warning residents of a fake text message campaign. Text message, not terror, excuse my error, using the old name New Jersey Department of Motor Vehicles that warns recipients about unpaid tickets. This text goes on to threaten to suspend your license if you fail to pay immediately. Again, it is fake. Do not click on anything. Do not pay anything. Officials remind everybody that the Garden State's DMV is actually called the MVC, not the DMV. And they only use text messages to remind customers of appointments, not if you owe money. If you have any doubt, call the MVC yourself and ask. Do not click on links and do not send anybody money. And thousands of patients with cancers of the head and neck have been thrown a lifeline by world-changing drugs that immediately slow down the spread of the disease. A specific drug currently marketed under the name Keytruda, which is used for other cancers, now helps the immune system spot hidden cancer cells in the body with head and neck related cancers. It is currently offered to patients with advanced lung, breast, and cervical cancer, but now it has some wider promise. A groundbreaking trial found the drug can keep head and neck cancers at bay for 5 years compared to 30 months with standard treatments, including surgery, chemotherapy, and radiotherapy. It also reduces the risk of the disease returning elsewhere in the body, which is amazing. Meanwhile, in today's age of smartwatches, more and more people are counting their daily steps, walk to get in shape and live longer. Seems that 10,000 steps is the magic number that'll help us lose weight and extend our lives, but now we see that even a fourth of that number can have a great impact. If you walk 2,000 to 3,000 steps a day, you could reduce your risk of heart disease. Walk 4,000 steps, you reduce the risk of dementia. No matter how many steps you walk, anything is better than nothing. The benefits appear more acute when it comes to heart health. The study was published in the Journal of the American College of Cardiology. 8:02 right now. When we come back, summer can be stressful for parents. We'll talk with somebody who has a great idea to help keep the stress levels down to a minimum. And we'll take your calls at 888-658-0234. You're watching On New Jersey Mornings, and we'll be right back. Good morning, it's 8:03, Monday, June 2nd, 2025. Welcome back to On New Jersey Mornings. I'm Ken Rosato, taking calls at 888-658-0234. Mostly sunny today, highs in the low to mid 70s. Big warm up as we progress through the week, even tomorrow, in fact, Mike says. Straight to meteorologist Mike Favetta with a check of the full Garden State forecast. Good morning to you, Mike.
Hey, Ken, good morning. So much sunshine on the way, so much warmth. It'll feel fantastic. Make sure you make the plans to get outdoors as much as possible. Got to recharge all the vitamin D that we lost last week, given how cloudy and gray it was. Well, temperatures now warming quickly. We're already at 61 in Newark, and with the dry weather that's present, we'll see a fast warm up throughout this morning, thanks to the already temperatures climbing anywhere from 5 to 6 degrees warmer than where they were yesterday. And the dew points, or the temperature where the air is saturated, down in the 40s. This is relatively dry, so that will allow for it to feel quite pleasant and warm up nice and quickly through this afternoon. with a calm breeze, nothing more than a 5 to 10 mile per hour wind at times. Even these gusts are in the 10 to 12 mile per hour range. That's light. We'll stay nice and dry today with loads of sunshine even through the rest of this afternoon. The futurecast stays clear today, even by 11 a.m. We're back up to near 70 across most of the state, and we'll sit pretty in the upper 70s this afternoon with a few passing fair weather cumulus clouds. Then we get into tomorrow morning and we start off even warmer. So we end the day even warmer up into the low 80s. A little bit of a breeze pushing in from the south and west throughout Wednesday. That helps our temperatures start in the upper 60s and climb into the upper 80s by Wednesday afternoon. Might even flirt with 90 in spots on Wednesday as that warm weather really does its job. But I think we'll really enjoy the 90s by Thursday. If you love that summertime heat, oh, this week is for you. We've got pretty skies all throughout the middle of this week, even into Thursday, with some clouds returning, I think, later on Thursday afternoon, but still getting up to 95. That's July heat by Thursday afternoon. 95 as well in Hackensack, 88 over in Sussex, 82 in Toms River. People might be just skipping down the shore earlier this week, especially with that clear sky in the forecast. Thursday evening could have a few showers off to our north, but I think most of the state stays dry, especially with that 90-degree heat extending down to the shore points. Obviously a little bit cooler on the waterfront at the beaches, but loads of heat and sunshine to enjoy. Humidity is back. We'll let you know how long that sticks around into the weekend, because there's a little bit of a hiccup in the forecast, I think, for Saturday, Ken, but overall, we make it through the weekend pretty warm. And it's a stepping stone to warmer days ahead, even going into next week.
Hey, you know how you could cure that hiccup? Just go, hey, it'll make the hiccup go away. Just saying.
Oh,
It's just
scary,
my little
yeah.
thought. See if Mother Nature obliges. All right, Mike. Thank you, sir. Yes, I'm crazy. It is 50 degrees right now. 8:06 is our time. In terms of traffic, let's take a look at this camera. This is the traffic cam on the New Jersey Turnpike. You see that very slow traffic on those lanes that are kind of upper middle there, upper right middle. Those lanes are headed to Newark Airport. So that's why that is the case there. This is the Hudson County Extension Interchange 14. And that is all traffic headed to the airport. So maybe they're listening to Mike and enjoying vacation time, maybe getting out of Dodge. We have a tractor trailer fire also reported 287 northbound south of exit 26, which is Mount Airy Road in Berners Township. The right lane is blocked. We have a crash on Route 3 westbound east of 46 in Clifton with the left lane of the 3 lanes closed, and a crash investigation Route 30 westbound west of the GSP in Galloway with all lanes closed. Delays at the Holland Tunnel now 30 minutes in, 35 at the Lincoln. Take a look at 8095 going into the GWB. The lower level on the left is bumper to bumper stopped. Your better bet is the upper level on the right. It's about 45 minutes on the upper level, 55 to 60 on the lower, and that is your commute into Manhattan. 8:07 is our time. Summer break may be a time of excitement for kids. No school, more play. But for a lot of parents, it comes with a different kind of pressure, from juggling childcare. How do you take care of the kids while working? And work to managing family finances and routines. The break can feel like anything but a break. Joining us this morning is Carrie Roberts, Communications Director at Serenium Therapy and Wellness, to help us understand why summer can be so stressful for parents and what they can do to protect their mental health and stay balanced through it all. Carrie, welcome to you.
Thank you, Ken, for having me. Excited to be here.
You bet. Let's start with what may surprise people. Why is it that summer, which is typically seen as a fun time, why is it such a big source for stress for parents?
Yeah, so as you mentioned, for kids, it can be really exciting. There's no homework. You get to see your friends. You might stay in. But for parents, it is a stressful time for multiple reasons. Number one, it's a challenge to find reliable childcare. So especially for parents that are working, whether that's in the office or remotely, we're also finding that a lot of parents struggle with the change in structure. So when you had your child going to school at a certain time, doing homework at a certain time, sports at a certain time, that change can feel overwhelming to kids and to parents alike. And then we also find that there's a challenge between finding a balance to having your kids doing fun, enriching activities over the summer, but also making sure they're not overwhelmed and you're not creating financial strain for the family. And then the last thing I'll add is that not always the case, but many times childcare activities and responsibilities can fall on the mom, and that can create a little bit more stress for mothers who are working, whether it's in the home or outside as well.
Why is the life shift stress such a big and common issue right now?
I think in 2025, we have different stressors as parents than people did years ago. So it's not the same. We are seeing a lot of changes where parents are, some of them working from home. So you still need a quiet space. We are seeing that mix of going back into the office, where in 2020 and 2021, maybe it was easier to be at home, and things are getting more expensive. So trying to manage all of that can feel very overwhelming for parents.
Now, asking for help is key, right? But a lot of parents struggle with asking for help, and there are ways that you could begin a conversation with a partner or a friend. What's the best way, or even relatives like grandma and grandpa, right? How do you approach grandma and grandpa and say, you know what, I need a break. Would you mind taking Junior for a couple of hours? How do you start that?
Yeah, so as you said, asking for help is the number one thing. It can feel challenging because it feels like we're being weak, but that's not the case. So whether you're asking your local community, which could be your family, your friends, your neighbor, I usually start by saying, go up to them and ask them to see if they have any activities where you're coinciding. So if your neighbor is having the same camp as you are, maybe they take the kids in the morning and you pick them up. Being able to ask a grandparent, maybe they can watch the child one day a week, so you're not doing childcare that you have to pay for beyond that. Maybe in exchange, you make them dinner one evening. So there are different ways to kind of be reciprocating within the community. But I think it's also important to sit down and chat with your spouse, really sit down and create a time where you can think about a strategy. What are the things that are stressful? Being really honest with each other about what you both need in terms of time management, as well as emotionally, and creating a plan for your family. And then the other thing I like to add is that it's important to really consider maybe looking to speak with a therapist. So clinical therapists help, they can be there to listen and to understand. In fact, for our practices, we find that 30% of our clientele are actually coming to therapy for things like what we're talking about. They're feeling stressed and overwhelmed, potentially anxious with everyday activities and life. And a lot of them are parents. And so it's not just the summertime, it's during the year, it's managing schedules, managing work, managing their relationships, and really finding a safe space that they can have those conversations. So whether you're asking for help from your community or from your significant other or from a clinical therapist, it's really just about being forward and asking questions, because everyone is there to support you in some way, shape, or form.
Yeah, I think too many people do not consider therapy, and it's such an incredible. I mean, I've been to therapists for 100 different reasons over the years, and it's just the help you need to get over the hump. And I mean, if you have very, very deep psychological challenges, there are other, you go to psychologists for that, et cetera. If you have the daily stresses, uh, therapy on a regular basis is a good thing, even if it's once a month, once a week, whatever it takes, depending on your challenges, or even as I have a friend who has two different therapists for two different issues. And it's an amazing thing. And now you could do, I'm sure, telehealth. I'm sure Serenium does that as well. Um, there's no excuse for not taking care of yourself emotionally. And if you take care of yourself emotionally, right, then everything else can kind of come into play in a very smooth way for the week, because it kind of puts you in the right light. And why is it, do you think, so many people are reticent to there's that stigma from years ago that somehow it's okay if you have a flu and you go to the doctor and you get treated for that. But if you have a psychological challenge and you go to a doctor or a therapist for that, that somehow shows weakness. Where did that start?
Yeah, I think, sometimes we see things in movies and we think that's the way it is. For many years, you saw people lying on a couch, and people writing notes, or they had a really crazy problem. And we really talk about that therapy is there for all of life's events. So when we look at the wellness wheel, it includes things like physical health, mental health, emotional health, occupational health. These are all part of our overall well-being. And so therapy is there to help mentally and emotionally. So we tend to find that there's a few stigmas that a lot of people come to us with. Number one is that it's too expensive, when in actuality, most health insurance companies, including Medicaid, cover mental health therapy. And at Serenium, we cover and use most of the insurances that people have. The second thing is that we find that people think, oh, you have to be crazy to go to therapy. I'm not crazy. And what's interesting is that people come to us, like I said, 30% of our clientele is coming because of just feeling overwhelmed, and not sure how to kind of take that next step. And when they come in and share with our clinicians what's going on, the next question they ask is, am I crazy? And our therapists like to say, no, you're just human. You have emotions and feelings and thoughts just like anyone else. And the third thing we tend to hear is that I don't want to be on medication. Majority of our clients are not on medication. Should you and your therapist decide that maybe that's something you need, we have psychiatric nurse practitioners to work with you on that, to decide on medications or how much you would need for when. But majority of people are not. Therapy is really a place to come to be seen, to be heard, to be supported, and provided the tips and tools and techniques that you need to navigate changes in your life, such as the one we're talking about today with summer schedules, but also other things going on so that you can be more prepared in the future as well.
And the life coaching that comes from good therapy is amazing because it helps whatever the challenges you're having are now. It helps you not have those challenges in the future too. It's so good. Sometimes you just have to step out or let somebody from the outside who's looking at your circumstances help you with good advice, sound advice. And that's why therapy is so good. I could be the biggest evangelist for it, having been through it, but also having been that guy before the first time I encountered therapy. I was that guy to say, oh, who needs a therapist? And after going through therapy, I can't cheer it enough as something that everyone should encounter. Even if you think everything is going perfectly, it doesn't hurt to talk to a therapist. What's your website, Carrie, for people to get more information?
Yes, so people can learn more about us at sereniumwellness.com. We are also on social media, Instagram, TikTok, LinkedIn, Facebook at Serenium Wellness. And as you mentioned, we are all about helping people improve their mental and emotional well-being for all of life's events. So from things that seem everyday and common, anything that's feeling stressful or overwhelming, we have clinical therapists that are educated, that are working with you to help you understand what's going on and to move forward.
If you have a big event coming up that you feel a little bit of stress about, just talk to somebody. Call, really, right? I mean, I've done that in the past where I know I have a big event coming up. I've talked to a therapist about it and it just makes everything feel that much better. Some coaching advice, some breathing advice, etc. It helps everything. And being public speaker for 40 years of my life, believe me, I couldn't have done it without. So thank you. All right, Carrie Roberts, come back again. Communications Director at Serenium Therapy and Wellness. That's Serenium with an R, Serenium. Thank you for joining us this morning. Come back again.
Thank you.
You bet. It is 8:17 now, 51 degrees. When we come back, we have New Jersey politics at its worst. The New Jersey Turnpike Authority, in what is a blatant attempt at retaliation against Elon Musk, has childishly decided to remove all 64 Tesla supercharging stations from the turnpike. Clearly, because they don't like Musk's work with President Trump. Brand and digital strategist Fisher will join us to weigh in. It's going to be mostly sunny today, highs in the low to mid 70s. Mike Favetta comes back, our meteorologist. There's a flea in here with the full Garden State forecast. We're coming right back. Welcome back to On New Jersey Mornings. I'm Ken Rosato at 8:18, and we'll take calls at 888-658-0234. Lots of sunshine today, highs in the low to mid 70s. Warm up through the week. Meteorologist Mike Favetta has the details. Good morning, Mike.
Good morning, Ken. Great weather to enjoy. Lots of sunshine today. Heat by the end of the week. And the humidity that comes back will feel like summer for a change. So it'll look nice. And when the calendar says June and you have these temperatures that are in the 70s with sunshine all around central New Jersey, it'll look even fantastic. Even by the beaches today, you enjoy the low 70s most of this week. Allergens, not so much an issue for trees anymore, as tree pollen season has pretty much ended. But I think the weeds and grasses will be on the rise this week, especially after all of the rainfall last week and the landscaping crews getting back out and helping to spread those pollens around. So no rain for the next few days. We are dry. Look at all this clear sky. that's headed in our direction, keeping us sunny and keeping our UV quite high. Need the sunscreen around over the next few days. UV index is at a 7, which is considered high and will likely bump into the 8 to 10 category over the next few days, especially as we approach the summer solstice. Usually here in New Jersey, we get to the UV level 10 for those 2 weeks around the summer solstice. So in about, 14 days, I think we could see that UV go as high as a 10, specifically in central and southern New Jersey, down by the beaches. Our forecast today keeps the sunshine around, nice and dry. Temperatures cool off back into the 50s again tonight, but we rise into the upper 70s, even low 80s by tomorrow afternoon in the northeastern corner of New Jersey, and then potentially near 90 as soon as Wednesday. The humidity, or the dew point, the level where the air is saturated, dry today, increase in humidity by Wednesday. You'll really feel it. See that shade of green that creeps in? That's the moisture that will make it feel quite humid even through Thursday. And when we see these numbers cross into near 70, which they do back toward Morristown and even over toward places down in South Jersey by Medford and Millville, it will feel quite humid once we get into the upcoming weekend, even as soon as Thursday and Friday. Beyond that, the futurecast going into Thursday and Friday sees actual air temperatures climb into the upper 80s and low 90s, but it will feel warmer with the heat and humidity combined. So this is not a temperature that, with the heat index, this is the actual air temperature of 95 degrees. Could feel warmer when you factor in that humidity. And going into Thursday evening, it's uncomfortably humid and warm, but then we cool it off a little bit by Friday with that front that tries to slide on through. So throughout the day on Saturday, you notice that there's some extra clouds around. Maybe the front passes through, giving some areas in New Jersey a quick passing shower, but it hopefully clears by the end of the day Sunday, bringing back the threat of a little shower, I think, by Sunday evening, and then we're back to clear sky come Monday and Tuesday. So a little bit better weather into early next week after the threat of rain ends this weekend. But there is a chance of some rain, especially on Saturday. I wouldn't go full-on showers just yet for Saturday. There could be some more sun in there, and then Sunday clears with a high of 80. Decent weather by the end of the weekend, but I think Saturday is looking a little wet at times, given how volatile the atmosphere will be. I mean, when you have all that heat and humidity, Ken, that's combined by the end of the week, the energy has to be released somehow, and I think it'll cap into the form of some showers with that front passing through on Saturday.
Hey, we'll take, you gotta get a little bit of rain to pay for all the beautiful sunshine. So we'll take it, sir. Thank you very much. Much appreciated. It is 51 degrees now at 8:22. And, liberals love to claim ownership over protecting the environment. Joe Biden wanted only electric cars on our roadways by 2035. Along came Elon Musk's Tesla, creating what is arguably the most advanced electric vehicle on the market and an infrastructure of high-speed charging stations, greater in number than all other companies' charging stations combined. Well, a couple of years ago, the New Jersey Turnpike Authority decided they would have a third-party company install more charging stations along the turnpike. But that would have been supposedly in addition to the Tesla charging stations that were there. Now, since Elon Musk seems to be buddy-buddy with President Trump, the liberals at the New Jersey Turnpike Authority have now childishly decided all of those Tesla charging stations have to get yanked in an attempt to retaliate, those are my words, against Elon Musk because they clearly don't like his work with Trump. How does this help the environment or advance change over to electric vehicles? Brand and digital strategist Fisher joins us now to weigh in. He has all the details. Fisher, by the way, can be found on X, Threads, and Instagram with the username @Fisher and through his website, fisher.media. Good morning, Fisher. And in fairness, they had this plan. We talked about this last night. The Turnpike Authority had a plan from 2 years ago to have this third party put in these electrical charging stations. And ostensibly, they would have been for other brand vehicles. But Tesla, and you'll explain this, I'm stepping on you. Tesla was gonna have adapters, right? So that you could use the Tesla high-speed charging stations with any vehicle. So go ahead, you take it from there, please.
Yeah, in fact, over a dozen manufacturers and their subsidiaries, right? So you have Toyota and Lexus, et cetera, et cetera. They're actually adopting. They either made the decision that starting in 2024 models or anything going forward, all except the NACS adapter. So the models that didn't have it built into the car, the manufacturers were giving the adapter from their version to the Tesla standard, and then all cars going forward would have the Tesla standard. So in reality, these superchargers would be compatible with the majority of cars on the road that require electric charging, right? So 64, as you said, Tesla superchargers have been ordered to be removed from their spots at 8 New Jersey Turnpike Service Plaza locations. And they only made that announcement officially on May 30th. It goes into effect June 16th. In preparation for the upcoming decision, Tesla had already gone ahead and built 116 stalls off the turnpike at various locations. Now, keep in mind, again, you mentioned it, many charging locations across the country have several vendors, which give consumer choices. They have compatibility between all of the different car manufacturers. They give choices in pricing and also availability. If you're driving from New York, if you're doing the typical winter drive from New York or New Jersey down to Florida, when you get in a Tesla, there's something called the trip planner. It's the GPS of the car. So you say, I want to go from Hoboken to Orlando, and the specific addresses, and it'll plot as your GPS in a normal gas-powered car would, the route. But it'll say, stop in Richmond, Virginia at this supercharger for 15 minutes, and then you can go to North Carolina, et cetera, and it'll plot it around. Taking these superchargers off of the New Jersey Turnpike, the alternate, the ones that they're going to install, are not part of Tesla's trip planner, right? So, and also some of these other cars also have the same kind of trip planner. So either Tesla's not going to update to a third party, right? So they're now going to take you off the New Jersey Turnpike. You're going to get off on the highway. You're going to have to make a left, go back over the bridge. You're going to go to a Target shopping center, whatever that looks like, right? So that takes 5 to 10 minutes off the trip in addition to stopping down and charging your car. So this is really ridiculous where you can have these chargers in the same place as this third-party vendor that they're going to have on the New Jersey Turnpike. To order the 64 Tesla superchargers to be removed removes availability. And again, you're traveling, you're going to a destination, you're driving for a long time. You want to make it as quick as possible. For the service areas, it's perfect. You pull in, you plug your car in, you go to the bathroom, you get a drink, you get your coffee, and you get a Cinnabon, whatever that looks like. And then by the time you're done and the family stretch their legs, you let the dog out, you get back in the car, you have 200 more miles, and then you go. And so this really, it just makes it very inconvenient. Again, Tesla is not going to update their trip planner for the third-party vendors. They're going for the superchargers. So all Tesla cars are going to be directed off the interstate, which is going to add to local road congestion.
Which is exactly the opposite of what all the liberal environmentalists say that they want. This is going to add congestion. And by the way, you could say, well, electric cars don't emit anything. Okay, but the electric cars that get off on the local roadways, they're going to congest the local roadways so that cars that do run on gas are now going to be stuck in traffic trying to get from point A to point B. It's stupid, stupid. Yes.
Yeah. And you still, yes, they don't give off an emission, but you do have to burn whatever coal to charge them. So now you're adding an extra couple of miles.
Exactly. You're wasting more battery power to get to the next point. So that means you have to charge more. And the electric plants, 90% of our electric plants in America run on coal and fossil fuels. So you are adding more fossil emissions and carbon to the atmosphere, which is exactly what these hypocritical, phony ass leftists say that they don't want. But environmentalists are all full of shit. I could say that on stream. They are full of shit because they are phony. This is all about politics and zero about the environment. Zero.
And it also seems like it's cutting their nose off to spite their face, because you're taking the service area is obviously run by the state, and they're getting taxes from it, right? So now if I'm off that service area and I'm being diverted to, like I said, the Target parking lot, the Dunkin' Donuts parking lot, whoever has it, I'm now paying them whatever the fees are. Obviously taxes are taxes and they'll get back to the state, but I'm sure that the service areas have a bigger cut of whatever goes on there than they would if I went to a regular shopping center to charge my car, get food, get a drink, and shop. So they're going to lose revenue that way as well.
And I guarantee in their defense, the Turnpike authorities are going to say, well, this has been in the works for 2 years. But I read it, you and I talked about this last night, Fish. Mm-hmm. I read it online that 2 years ago, they never said a word. You could Google it, go look. They never said a word about removing the Tesla charging stations. All they said was they were kind of going to have a third party vendor put in other charging stations, because 2 years ago, if you had an electric vehicle other than Tesla, you couldn't use, or it was difficult to use. You needed to buy adapters, et cetera, whatever it was, to use a Tesla, which is the superior charger. It is the
Yes.
high-speed superior charger. And
200
so in
miles in
order to make
15 minutes.
there you go. Whereas it's hours in some cases for the others.
Mhm.
I know if you charge on standard trickle charge, it could be hours.
Yep.
Yes. And so this is so antithetical to logic, but this is liberals. It's all, we don't like that. So this is childishness all the way. And if you're for the environment and you're for these same liberals are the liberals who bought all those Teslas 2 years ago to try to virtue shame, virtue signal to the rest of the world. I'm better than you because I care about Mother Earth. And they went and bought these Teslas. Now, many of them are going to be the very people screwed, because they're going to now have to get off the highway and let the Tesla take them 5 miles out of their way in traffic to find a charging station. It's ridiculous.
And again, and just again, there are manufacturers that have adapted the Tesla standard in terms of charging: Audi, BMW, Ford, General Motors, Hyundai, Kia, Mazda, Mercedes, Porsche, Nissan, Toyota, Lexus. Like, it's not just one or two. It is basically every car on the road: Subaru, Volkswagen, Volvo. Every major manufacturer has pretty much adapted the standard. So you're really messing with, more than just Tesla users. And again, Tesla superchargers can charge up to 200 miles. So you get 200 miles range in 15 minutes. And again, if these other chargers aren't up to that standard, which they're not, you're not going to get that. So you're losing in a lot of ways. You have to stop more. You're going to take more time. It's a big inconvenience, and there's no reason to have removed those chargers. Whether the contract, and you could go back and forth with that, but to remove them is silly and ridiculous.
So let's take the best top of the line high speed charger on the market today that is proprietary, that, as you said, 80% of all vehicles that are electric can use. Let's take those out because we don't like the politics of this guy. And let's put in shittier chargers that take longer and will waste more time and will break down more and won't get taken care of, I'm sure, like the Tesla people take care of their chargers. And let's do that because we're going to put our personal politics in. This is a blue state, folks. So when you go to vote Democrat, yeah, I know Assemblyman Jones. He's a nice guy. I'm going to vote for him. My dad was a Democrat. You're an ass. You're an ass. Don't vote Democrat. Don't be an ass. Start for a change. What do you have to lose? You got the crappiest state with taxes and bad services, and you can't understand why kids are failing out of school left and right when we're spending 40 grand a student. Wake up and stop voting Democrat, New Jersey. Wake up. I have no opinion. Just makes you laugh. You look at a state like Florida, which has no state income tax, yet it has all of the services and lower fees for everything. They don't have any of the problems that we have in New Jersey. And it's a bigger state, higher population, and everything runs more smoothly with lower crime, by the way. How does that happen? It's because it's a red state. Stop and wake up and figure that one out. So anyway, it is what it is. Brand and digital strategist Fisher, thank you for being my therapist this morning. Found on X, Threads,
No
and
problem.
Instagram with username @Fisher and through his website, fisher.media. I love you, buddy. Thank you for coming on this morning as always.
Thanks, Ken. Take care.
All right, you bet. 8:32 right now. We have 52 degrees. Taking your calls at 888-658-0234. If you disagree with what I said, call up and let us know. Sunshine today, low to mid 70s, hotter through the week. And meteorologist Mike Favetta comes back in a moment. We'll be right back. Very good morning. It is Monday, June 2nd, 2025, 53 degrees at 8:33. I'm Ken Rosato. Welcome back to ONNJ Jersey Mornings. Mostly sunny, highs in the low to mid 70s. Big warm up through the week. Meteorologist Mike Favetta with a detailed Garden State forecast. Good morning, Mike.
Good morning, Ken. We've got a beautiful week ahead, nice and dry. You'll see the weekend forecast and go, I don't know about that. It looks a little iffy. And I think that's the case. Saturday, yes, definitely iffy, but there's time for improvement, especially given how the weather scenario is not a complete bust or a washout, but I think we'll enjoy this heat and humidity before then, especially by Thursday with the hot weather returning and humidity as well. It's dry this week from a rain perspective, but it's still very humid, especially as that humidity turns on once we get to Wednesday and Thursday time frame. Radar is dry right now statewide. Can't even find a cloud. So we'll keep it that way. Even in South Jersey with full-on sunshine through this afternoon, 74 in Hamilton, 74 in Egg Harbor City, and the beaches also in the low 70s with a little bit of a late day sea breeze. Sunrise nice and early at 5:27, and this is typically the time of year around the summer solstice where we have the most daylight of the entire year, especially going into the next few weeks. Our forecast is dry, so plenty of sunshine to enjoy each day with no rain through Wednesday. Thursday, maybe see a little uptick by the afternoon in the northern sections of the state. Friday, also an increase. And then Saturday, best chance of seeing some wet weather. And that will occur, I think, predominantly in the northern sections of New Jersey as that front tries to slide on through. Air quality is good today. We're nice and clear. And other than a few passing fair weather clouds, we're looking great this afternoon. Nice and dry tomorrow. Loads of sun again. A little bit of a wind shift from the south and west that pulls in some more humidity by Wednesday. And here's the front that approaches from the west by Thursday. You see how it brings in more clouds, also increases the humidity throughout Thursday afternoon. And then this front just kind of sits over New Jersey throughout the day on Friday and even into Saturday. That could help keep the clouds around, certainly, for most of the day on Saturday and even bring in some chances of rain. So while Thursday and Friday look very warm, the rain increases, at least the chances do, by later Friday afternoon. But Saturday might have some pretty cloudy skies with some on and off showers, and then we clear out yet again by Sunday with a high of 80. The short points look pretty good with overall a beautifully sunny week ahead. I mean, it looks great down the shore, even going right through the end of the work week. We should stay dry on Friday, maybe just some extra clouds as the front tries to push on through. And then Saturday and Sunday sees a little bit more higher chance of rain for Saturday with ultimately clearing, Ken, by Sunday. So first heat, humidity, sunshine, and then a little bit of rain timed out for Saturday.
HHS and a little bit of rain. I got it. I took note. That sounds good, though. We'll take it. Get paid for all the sunshine with rain and the schwitz. Break out the ACs. Thank you very much, Mike. We appreciate you, sir. 52 degrees right now, 8:36. In terms of roadway traffic, take a look at this. This is the Garden State Parkway, mile marker 136.8 south of exit 136. So this would be in the vicinity of Linden, Roselle, Winfield Park. Just volume at this point. You can see the sun is off to the right, and that's causing a little bit of face glare, because if you notice the people heading in the other direction on the left, which would be the northbound side, they don't have any problem. So it's more the people with the sun a little in their faces, depending on how the Garden State bends right there. Other roadways to worry about right now, major tractor trailer fire on 287 northbound south of exit 26, which is Mount Airy Road in Burnage Township, with one right lane closed, and a crash investigation Route 30 westbound west of Garden State Parkway in Galloway Township with all lanes closed. Right now we have a 35-minute crossing time at the Lincoln Tunnel, 30 minutes at the Holland. This is the GWB 8095 approach, and you could see things are moving a little better than they were half an hour ago, but still kind of slow. On the left side, you have the lower level, and that's about a 50-minute crossing time, and on the right side, about a 55-minute cross now on the upper level. 8:37, and now it's time to talk about the third annual Juneteenth Black Business Expo, the ongoing fight for economic equity, and how business ownership continues to shape opportunity and transformation in Black communities across the state of New Jersey. Dr. John E. Harmon Sr. is the founder, president, and CEO of the African American Chamber of Commerce of New Jersey. His own journey from humble beginnings in Trenton to becoming a prominent voice for Black businesses is captured in his new book, Power Moves: The Life and Legacy of a Black Chamber Executive. The book is a reflection on purpose, resilience, and building economic pathways for underserved communities. Dr. Harmon, it's so good to have you on. Your journey from selling produce as a kid to leading one of the state's most influential business, I love the story. I mean, you are literally the American dream. What moments stand out to you as pivotal in shaping your path? And welcome and good morning to you, by the way.
Well, Ken, I'm delighted to be here. You know, I spoke to some kids a few days ago, and it comes down to it's not where you start, but where you end up. and also setting a vision for yourself and bringing it to fruition. So there were a number of people along my journey that bought into where I wanted to go and contributed to bring it to fruition. But more, there were people who also saw something in me I did not see in myself. And so that politically important as I kind of triggered through life. The other one respectfully,
Doctor,
we're all
Doctor, I'm
in
going
this
to pause
state
you.
together.
Doctor, I'm going to pause you 1 second, sir, because the our signal is breaking up. You know what? I'm going to tap dance for a second here just to kill time. Pam, can we just get him to reset the signal? Can we just have him undo and redo? I'll just talk for a second, and we'll just sometimes just turning off the signal and turning it back on will allow for everything to clear up. We want to hear what the doctor has to say because his path is unbelievable. And Pam, we could blow off the news segment. We'll go past 45 and bring Doctor on as long as he would like. He is okay. So we're working on getting the signal reestablished. Just to tell you about his book and his what we have coming up. There's something called the Black Business Expo, and it's happening coming up on the 12th of June. It is the day before Juneteenth. And it is for Black businesses throughout the state to get together. It's brilliant because everybody can get together and it's not exclusively for Black businesses, but it features Black businesses throughout the Garden State and the region. And it's just a brilliant way to bring together people, to introduce people to other people in the business world who may not otherwise have the time or the reason to get together and talk. And it's just such a smart thing. And again, that is the third annual Juneteenth Black Business Expo. It's happening actually the day before Juneteenth on June 12th, and it's happening at the College of New Jersey. So we'll talk about that when the doctor comes back on in just a minute. But I went and looked at his book online. It is a great book. If you want to be inspired, especially being a person in New Jersey, I'm in New Jersey now for 23 years myself. This man literally is living the dream from humble beginnings to one of the most impressive business leaders in the state of New Jersey now. So you really need to check it out. Again, the book is called Power Moves, The Life and Legacy of a Black Chamber Executive. And it's a reflection on purpose, resilience, and building economic pathways for underserved communities. And I think we're establishing the signal right now. Again, Dr. Harmon we'll beat him in a second, but I want him to tell this story once again. And Pam, like I said, we'll go past the 45 break and let Dr. Harmon have the time. It's too important not to keep going here. All right, so we're about to get there. Just to give you an idea of weather, meteorologist Mike Favetta says we'll have lots of sunshine today, highs low to mid 70s, but then it gets hotter and more humid through the week. So we'll check back with Mike. Mike, we will come to you in about 7 or 8 minutes, I promise. In the meantime, you let me know, Pam, when we're set for the doctor, and then we'll come back. All right, this is live TV, live TV. All right, good. Let's come back to Dr. Harmon. Doctor, I kind of talked about your book and about the Juneteenth Black Business Expo, which is actually June 12th, not on the 13th, right? Talk about how important, because that's too important. Thank you, by the way, for this happens with, that's the issue of doing internet TV. I want us to go back to where you left off about your climb into where you are right now to be the head of the Black Chamber of Commerce for New Jersey, how big that is, and the motivation that makes for everybody else in the state who has a dream of making it. So let's talk about that again, please.
So, Ken, again, thank you for the opportunity. In 2007, we established the African American Chamber of Commerce of New Jersey, and it was all about creating strategic partnerships that would ultimately lead to a more competitive New Jersey. It was a value-based initiative. So when you look at Blacks in New Jersey, 1.2 million Blacks and about 90,000 Black businesses, we reside largely on the liability side of the state's balance sheet. Highest poverty, highest unemployment. Net worth for Blacks is 17,000 versus 322,000 for whites. Notwithstanding the value in terms of innovation and just workforce talent that exists within the Black demographic, we needed to connect with corporations, with government, and with people who possess the influence, the resources, opportunities, and information. And so fast forward, that's how we've come to be who we are today in New Jersey. But as a young kid, one of 7 kids, the only one to go and complete college, and coming from a working class family in a city like Trenton, it was important for me to really get outside of Trenton to see what the rest of society, how they moved around, how they matriculated through life. And all that culminated in not only in building and growing and positioning our chamber to be the only accredited chamber in New Jersey with the U.S. Chamber of Commerce out of the 154 chambers that exist in New Jersey. And then, all that is told in this book, Power Moves.
You love it. And doctor, you know what? By the way, my grandparents come from Trenton, so I have a very special place in my heart. When I was a kid, we used to go and visit. They moved eventually to Westchester County, but we used to go when I was a kid and visit all my relatives in Trenton all the time. And Trenton is such a great historic capital and such a great place. What I look at, you talk about 1.2 million blacks in the state of New Jersey, and so many living in inner cities and urban centers around the state who never had the opportunity to start their own businesses for many reasons, generational wealth not being there, et cetera. And that has a lot to do with it. I have talked with so many business people over the years about a potential model. Why not have a model where people, especially people of color in inner cities, get special help to start their own businesses, so that you would have black owned and businesses owned by people of color in inner cities where they live, and they control their destiny. I mean, I would think if I'm a corporate head of any business, no matter who they are, white, green, orange, I would want to contribute to that, to help black communities grow and be their own greatness. So I can't be the only guy behind this idea. Why is this not happening?
Well, I can tell you, we have had tremendous success working with like-minded people like you've just talked about, corporations around the state, and also state government has been a good partner. But a couple things that we're working on that could bring that to a greater possibility and greater impact across the state. We referenced the Juneteenth Expo that's going to occur on the 12th of June at the College of New Jersey, where you have corporations and government agencies meeting with businesses to talk about opportunities and individuals to talk about careers. There'll be exhibits that take place as well. In addition, the chamber is in the process of closing on a 27,000 square foot building in the city of Trenton that we hope to repurpose to accomplish the goal you just articulated. It's going to be called the Transformation Center. And we're looking for corporations to partner with us on the workforce side, to have workforce initiatives and training, and also to grow and scale businesses, to your point, Ken, to create a more competitive, more vibrant communities and state. So that's what we're all about. We cannot be successful in the vacuum, and we have to work with people that have the desire and the willingness to invest and share their best practices to help others grow and flourish in our state.
Doctor, that's the thing. I mean, I've spoken to so many kids when I was at Channel 7 years ago, and I used to go to schools and talk to kids in schools. In fact, I used to live in Belleville years ago, and I remember going to a school in Belleville, and the kids were mostly Latino and black. And I remember one kid raising his hand saying, "Can I become a news anchor like you?" And I said, "Of course you can." I mean, there's nothing special about me that allowed me to get to be a news anchor. My family were immigrants, and it's what you want to do. But the one thing that I remember talking to kids afterward is, I remember one kid saying, "Someday I wish I could own my own company, my own business." And I said to him, I looked at him and he was shocked when I said, "So do it." And he looked at me like in shock, like that someone would say, "So do it." Like I challenged him. I think every child in the inner city needs to know, not think, not say it's a possibility, but someone is going to be against you. They need to know. You can start your own company. You could be any professional you want. You could be a doctor, lawyer, and a nurse, whatever you want, or a teacher. But if you don't want to spend $200,000 and take on loans, you could also start your own company right out of high school and be very successful. Become an electrician, become a plumber, own your own company and own your own destiny and your own future. So the idea that you're doing this and you're behind this is brilliant. I feel like I want to be there. Listen, tell me when I can come and help cheer you on and be part of this and promote this so the kids know that they are their own future and their own destiny, and it's all open for them.
Ken, we will extend an invitation to you to come and encourage us and bring some of your partners. I mean, this Juneteenth
Amen.
Expo is all about what you said. It's a collaboration for the greater good of society. It's going to be on the 12th at the college. AACCNJ.com is where you can find information. But also, Ken, I spoke to a group of high school students and middle school students this weekend in Somerset, New Jersey. And I shared with them a few examples because you're right. People have to see themselves in the narrative, and that could mitigate some of the doubt and fear and discouragement. So when you think about the light bulb, Thomas Edison is credited for creating the light bulb, but there was a son of a slave named Lewis Lattimore who provided the filament to enable that light bulb to sustain and continue to grow and beyond. That's what strategic partnerships are all about. Or Kat, you talked about in the early segment, Elon Musk and his greatness in the spacecraft that he sends up in space. But for Katherine Johnson, a hidden figure providing the calculation, a black woman, that would not have, we would not be able to do that stuff today. So I think to your big point here is people don't know their full potential, and this is why we should share information, get to know each other, and leverage each other because we're definitely better together.
Amen. And you're talking about 13% of the population of the country and a big chunk of the population of the state. And it's about rallying everybody together and working as a network to promote and move forward. That is the way to go. And look, maybe it's because I've lived in the South and I've seen how things go in some of the cities there. And there've been systemic setups so that people of color could not get moved. Like, oh, you want to set up a business? Well, you need a permit for that. Might be a couple of years before you get that. People don't get that, right? I mean, it's reality. That's real. That happened. And people don't get, when you say, well, why is it that so many in the black community haven't gotten farther? Well, how would you like to have that roadblock put in your face while you're all set to move forward? And you're like, oh, well, you'd like to set up that gas station there, but unfortunately, we have about 20 years of environmental stuff that's going to have to be processed first. Next, that's the reality. So enough of that crap. Let's help the community move forward because blacks are great. Blacks are they are American history. And it's about moving forward as a community. And I have so many, I know this sounds like, oh, some of my best friends are black. It is what it is. The reality is I'm born and raised here. Okay. And I just don't like to see anybody been given a crappy hand and then be criticized for not getting farther along. Screw the people who say that. So, Doctor, I'm with you 100%. God bless you. In Power Moves, you talk about the setbacks and the resilience, which is what I love about your book. So, with a few minutes left that we have here, talk to young entrepreneurs, especially those from poor communities, who are facing all the challenges that they face today.
So, book Power Moves can be found on Amazon and Barnes and Noble. But I say to the young kids today, set your sights on being an eagle because the eagle will soar above situations and come down when they have to. Don't associate yourself with buzzards because buzzards hang out with dead people. You have the potential, to your point, to be all you can be. And there's so many examples around you today. So look beyond your circumstance and realize the possibilities. Success is within you, but you have to be focused and very intentional about bringing that to fruition and try to connect with folks who've done it before and for, a sit down to get some advice, get some counsel. But hey, sometimes you have to encourage yourself and not listen to folks who are going to pour water on your ideas. And so that's the encouragement that I extend to many young people, because somehow, some way, I'm here today because there were people that believed in me, exposed me to things that I did not realize existed and or I could leverage to make my life better.
You are walking motivation, sir. The third annual Juneteenth Black Business Expo will be held on June 12th, the day before Juneteenth. It's at the TCNJ Brower Student Center in Ewing Township, the College of New Jersey. And the name of the book is Power Moves, The Life and Legacy of a Black Chamber Executive. Dr. John E. Harmon, Sr., the founder, president, CEO of the African American Chamber of Commerce of New Jersey. Dr. Harmon, it was an honor and a pleasure to have you on. Please come back again and again. We'd love to have you on again, sir.
Absolutely. Thank you for the invitation, and continue to be an encouragement to society. Thank you.
Amen. God bless you. God bless you. Thank you so much, sir. Have a great day. 8:54. That is just an example of somebody who worked to make it, and just an example of America. We have a few minutes left. We go straight back to meteorologist Mike Favetta with the full Garden State forecast. And Mike, I have my hand fan ready to go for the schwitz that's coming.
Oh, do you? Yeah, it's gonna be big. Yeah, we're talking some warm weather. You'll feel it, especially with the high heat and humidity arriving as soon as Wednesday. But Thursday is going to be key in trying to keep cool, because today it feels lovely with temperatures in the low 70s, low humidity, 75 in Jersey City as well for you in Bergen County there in Hackensack. And we have ended our drought here in New Jersey, just a few areas abnormally dry, thanks to the near double amount of rainfall that we've had over the last 2 months or so. Good news is that the temperature keeps on rising through the next 2 weeks. So through the middle of June, you see New Jersey's included in that above average temperature band that goes right down to Florida. We'll also see a little bit higher than average moisture, but again, this is an average, so there'll be some days that are beautiful and dry, like through Thursday, and then other days, unfortunately on Saturday, could have some rain. We don't like when it times out with the weekend, but I think there's room for improvement. After all, it is only Monday, and these weather models tend to have a hard time going beyond 5 and 6 days and timing out exactly where the front will land. So there's a lot that could change. So it's not lost just yet, even though you see thunderstorms and rain on Saturday. I think we could break out into some clear sky at times. Sunday, 80 as the high, so not even all that cool after the rain tries to cool us down with that cool front. The shore points look great as well. As temperatures climb into the upper 70s and low 80s, it'll feel humid there at the beaches. You can get some relief along the shore with a wind off of the water and a sea breeze. That'll make it feel a touch cooler. Still a chance of some showers by Saturday, but Sunday sees the sunshine return with a high of 75. So Ken, I think eyes will be peeled on this weekend's forecast to see if we can really shake out some clear sky by the start of the weekend. Yes, that's right.
I don't know if you saw that. I was peeling my eyes. Yeah, that kind of hurt, by the way. I'm not going to do that again. All right. But I like the idea that, I mean, it is June. And like you said, it's meteorological summer now, right? June 1st, even though what is it, the 20th or the 21st? I always forget. When is the summer
It changes
solstice?
by the year. I'm just going to ask Google after I finish. So, yeah.
The Google. I love
do.
the Google for
Use
that.
that AI
Just approximately then. That's right. That's what it's about. The Google. All right. So there we go. So we got a couple of weeks before it's calendar summer, but it's going to be summer this week. We'll love it. All right. Meteorologist Mike Favetta, have a wonderful day, my friend. I appreciate you. Thank you. It is now 54 degrees in Trenton, as we like to call it, and looking forward to the warm weather that's on the way. By the way, Harvard and other U.S. schools have spent decades training communist Chinese bureaucrats to be better communist politicians. Harvard, in fact, has been particularly popular among the communists, believe it or not, with over a quarter of all students at Harvard right now coming from communist China to the United States. And in many cases, coming for free, your tax dollars going to Harvard, and then we educate them to go back to China with all of our trade secrets. That's Harvard. That's the way they run things. Alumni of such programs include a former vice president of China and Chinese leader Xi Jinping's top negotiator in trade talks with the first Trump administration. We educated them on our dime. In an effort announced last week by Secretary of State Marco Rubio, American authorities now will tighten criteria for visa applications for China. So there you have it. So anyone who thinks that we're bad in the Trump administration, how terrible, that's why they're clamping down. And that does it for us on ONNJ Mornings for your Monday, June 2nd. I'm Ken Rosato. You can stream us on ONNJ.com, Roku, Fire TV, News on Samsung TV Plus, Apple TV, YouTube, Facebook, X, Rumble, and Twitch. Just go to twitch.tv/ONNJ. See you again tomorrow at 7.